The sun beat down on Silas's weathered face as he surveyed his parched fields. Dust devils danced across the cracked earth, mocking his efforts. His ranch, once a source of pride, was now a constant worry. Since his beloved wife, Martha, passed, the days felt longer, the work harder, and the silence heavier. He missed her laughter, her unwavering optimism, and her gentle hands that could coax life from the most stubborn soil. Silas wasn't a man prone to complaining. The West demanded resilience, and he had plenty of that. But lately, a gnawing loneliness had begun to creep into his heart. He poured his energy into the ranch, mending fences, tending to his dwindling herd, and praying for rain. Yet, something was missing. Out west, life was tough, and many families struggled to make ends meet. Orphanages overflowed with children, victims of hardship and circumstance. These children, often forgotten, lived in bare rooms and were cared for by tired and overworked staff. The future held little promise for these children. The dust swirled around the orphanage, a grim building made of rough-hewn planks. Its windows, clouded with grime, offered little glimpse into the lives within. Inside, children huddled together, their faces etched with a mixture of hope and despair. Some dreamed of loving families and warm homes, while others had resigned themselves to a life of hardship within those walls. The West was unforgiving. Droughts, storms, and economic hardship often left families destitute, unable to care for their children. Disease could sweep through communities, leaving behind a trail of orphans. The orphanages, though intended as havens, were often underfunded and overcrowded, struggling to provide even the most basic necessities. Food was scarce, clothing was threadbare, and opportunities were even scarcer. The children were a mixed bunch. Some were boisterous and rebellious, acting out their pain and frustration. Others were quiet and withdrawn, clinging to any shred of comfort they could find. Each child had a story, a past marked by loss and uncertainty. They yearned for connection, for someone to see them, to care for them, to offer them a chance at a better life. But in the harsh reality of the West, such hopes often remained just that, hopes. Silas hitched his wagon to his two old mules, Bess and May, for the long trek into town. He wasn't going to buy supplies, not this trip. Money was too tight. Instead, he had a small pouch filled with coins, a portion of what he'd managed to scrape together selling a few scrawny calves. He was headed to the Harmony Falls orphanage. He wasn't looking to adopt. The thought hadn't even crossed his mind. He was a simple rancher, barely able to provide for himself. How could he possibly care for a child? No, Silas was going to do what little he could. He remembered Martha's words, "Even the smallest act of kindness can make a world of difference." He knew it wasn't much, but he hoped his donation would buy the children a few extra blankets or a slightly heartier meal. The journey was dusty and slow, the wagon wheels groaning with each turn. As he approached the town, the imposing silhouette of the orphanage loomed in the distance, a stark reminder of the hardships faced by so many in the West. Silas tightened his grip on the reins, his heart heavy with a mixture of sadness and determination. He may not have much to give, but he would offer what he could, hoping to bring a little light into the lives of those forgotten children. The air inside the orphanage was thick with the smell of dust and despair. A stern-faced woman, her gray hair pulled back in a tight bun, greeted Silas at the door. She introduced herself as Mrs. Higgins, the orphanage director. Her voice was sharp, her eyes weary. "You here to adopt, mister?" she asked, her tone more businesslike than welcoming. Silas shook his head. "No, ma'am. Just came to make a small donation." He handed her the pouch of coins. Mrs. Higgins barely glanced at it. "Appreciate it. We can always use the help." She gestured towards a large room where children were listlessly playing with worn-out toys. "They're always hungry." As Silas looked around the room, his gaze fell upon a small girl sitting alone in a corner. She was smaller than the other children, and her leg was twisted at an awkward angle. The other children seemed to avoid her, and she kept her head down, her thin shoulders hunched as if trying to disappear. She was different, and Silas, in that moment, saw her. He felt a pang of sympathy, a stirring of something he hadn't felt in a long time. He wanted to reach out, to offer her some comfort, but he didn't know how. He just stood there, watching her, a silent observer in a world of forgotten children. He watched as a bigger boy shoved the little girl, sending her sprawling to the floor. No one rushed to help her. She slowly picked herself up, her face streaked with dirt and tears, and retreated further into the corner. Silas felt a surge of anger. "What's her name?" he asked Mrs. Higgins, his voice sharper than he intended. Mrs. Higgins sighed. "That's Lily. She's different. Has a bad leg. Slows things down." "Slows things down," Silas repeated, incredulous. "The other children aren't always kind," Mrs. Higgins admitted, her tone dismissive. "And, well, she needs more attention than we can give her. She's not really suited for farm work or housework or anything practical, really." Silas frowned. He saw the hurt in Lily's eyes, the way she tried to make herself invisible. He remembered Martha telling him, "Sometimes, the things that make us different are the things that make us special." He wondered if anyone had ever told Lily that she was special. He doubted it. He walked towards Lily, his boots echoing on the wooden floor. The other children stopped playing and stared. Lily looked up, her eyes wide with apprehension. Silas knelt beside her, his weathered face softening into a gentle smile. "Hello, Lily," he said softly. "My name is Silas." Lily stared at Silas, her eyes searching his face. He saw a flicker of fear, but also a spark of curiosity. He noticed the way she held herself, not defeated, but wary, like a small animal ready to bolt at the slightest threat. Despite her circumstances, something in her spirit remained unbroken. He asked her about her name, about the drawings she was making in the dirt with her finger. They were simple shapes, but Silas saw a glimmer of talent, a hint of imagination. He spoke to her softly, patiently, drawing her out of her shell. He learned that Lily loved stories, especially tales of brave pioneers and resourceful women. She dreamed of seeing the mountains and the stars, of learning to read and write. But she believed none of those things were possible for her. She was just Lily, the girl with the bad leg, the one nobody wanted. Yet, as Silas listened to her, he felt an unexpected connection. He saw her resilience, her quiet strength, her unyielding spirit. He saw a reflection of Martha's determination in her eyes. He realized that Lily wasn't a burden. She was a survivor, and in that moment, something shifted within him. The emptiness he had felt for so long began to fill with a newfound purpose. He knew, somehow, that his life was about to change. Silas stood up, a newfound resolve hardening his gaze. He turned back to Mrs. Higgins, who was watching them with a mixture of curiosity and skepticism. "I'd like to talk to you about Lily," he said, his voice firm. Mrs. Higgins led him to her small, cluttered office. She sat behind her desk, her expression guarded. "What about her, Mr. Silas?" "Silas Harding," he supplied. I'm interested in helping her." Mrs. Higgins sighed, running a hand through her gray hair. "Mr. Harding, I appreciate your concern, but Lily is, well, she's not an easy child. She requires a lot of attention, and her condition makes her unsuitable for most families. Truth be told," she lowered her voice, "she's considered unadoptable." Silas frowned. "Unadoptable?" "Yes, nobody wants her. She's a burden, Mr. Harding. We do our best, but resources are stretched thin. We can barely feed and clothe all the children, let alone provide the special care she needs." Mrs. Higgins leaned forward, her eyes pleading. "It's not that we don't care, it's just reality." Silas felt a knot of anger tighten in his stomach. How could anyone dismiss a child so easily? How could they write off her dreams and her potential simply because she was different? He looked out the window, back towards Lily, still sitting alone in the corner. His decision was made. "How much?" Silas asked, the words surprising even himself. Mrs. Higgins blinked, clearly taken aback. "How much for what, Mr. Harding?" "For Lily," Silas clarified. I want to take her with me." Mrs. Higgins hesitated, a calculating look in her eyes. "Well, Mr. Harding, we don't exactly sell children here. But there are expenses. Upkeep, clothing, food." She named a sum, a considerable amount that made Silas's heart sink. It was almost all the money he had left, the money he had been saving for winter supplies, for a new well, for everything. He swallowed hard. "I'll pay it," he said, his voice barely a whisper. Mrs. Higgins's eyes widened in surprise. "Are you sure, Mr. Harding? This is a big commitment." "I'm sure," Silas replied, his gaze unwavering. He reached into his pocket and pulled out his savings, counting out the coins one by one. It was a gamble, a risk, a decision that defied all logic. But as he looked at Lily, still sitting alone, her eyes filled with a mixture of hope and fear, he knew he was doing the right thing. He was buying her a chance, a future, a life, and he was giving himself one too. He signed the hastily prepared papers, a sense of both excitement and trepidation washing over him. He had just bought a little girl, and his world would never be the same. Lily held Silas's hand tightly as they walked out of the orphanage, her small face etched with a mixture of excitement and apprehension. He helped her into the wagon, making sure she was comfortable on the bumpy ride. The journey back to the ranch was long and arduous. The sun beat down mercilessly, and the wagon wheels kicked up clouds of dust. For Lily, the ride was especially difficult. Her bad leg ached with every jolt, and the heat made her weak. She tried her best not to complain, but Silas could see the pain in her eyes. He stopped frequently, offering her water and shade, letting her rest her leg. He told her stories about his ranch, about Bess and May, the old mules, about the wildflowers that bloomed in the spring. He described the sunsets and the starry nights, painting a picture of a life far removed from the harsh realities of the orphanage. He noticed that she was very quiet, and he supposed that she was scared of him. But he tried to reassure her. "I know this is all new to you, Lily," he said gently. "But I promise, I'll do my best to take care of you. You're safe with me." Lily looked at him, her eyes searching his face for any sign of deceit. She saw only kindness and sincerity. A small smile flickered across her lips. It was a small start, but Silas knew that they were on the right path. The journey was difficult, but they were in it together. The ranch was simple, a small cabin with a barn and a few outbuildings. It wasn't much, but it was home. Lily's eyes widened as she took it all in. It was so different from the orphanage, so open and free. But life on the ranch wasn't easy. Silas tried to teach Lily how to do chores, but her leg made it difficult. She struggled to carry water, to feed the chickens, to even walk across the uneven ground. She felt useless, a burden once again. The townsfolk weren't always welcoming either. Some whispered behind their backs, questioning Silas's decision. "Why would he take in a cripple?" they'd say. "She'll just be trouble." Others were more direct, offering unsolicited advice and judgmental stares. Silas ignored them as best he could. He knew he had made the right decision, even if it wasn't easy. He tried to find tasks that Lily could manage, things that didn't require her to be on her feet all day. He showed her how to mend fences, how to sort seeds, how to care for the animals in a way that accommodated her limitations. He knew it would take time for Lily to adjust, to heal, to find her place on the ranch. But he was patient. He believed in her even when she didn't believe in herself. He was determined to give her a chance, to show her that she was more than just the girl with the bad leg. He wanted her to know that she was loved, that she was valued, that she belonged. Silas spent his days teaching Lily. He adapted tasks to her abilities. Instead of carrying heavy buckets of water, he showed her how to use a hand pump to fill smaller containers. Instead of chasing chickens, he built a small coop that she could easily access. He also showed her the beauty of the natural world around them. They would sit together in the evenings, watching the sunset paint the sky in vibrant colors. He pointed out the different stars and constellations, telling her stories of the night sky. He taught her about the different plants and animals that lived on the ranch, explaining how everything was connected. He encouraged her to draw, providing her with charcoal and scraps of paper. He marveled at her talent, the way she could capture the essence of a flower or the spirit of a horse with just a few simple lines. He saw her confidence grow with each drawing, her self-doubt slowly fading away. He also started teaching her how to read and write. He used an old primer that Martha had used when she was a child. Lily devoured the words, her thirst for knowledge insatiable. She learned quickly, her mind sharp and eager. Silas realized that Lily wasn't just learning practical skills. She was learning to believe in herself. She was discovering her strengths, her talents, her worth. And as she blossomed, so did he. He found joy in teaching her, in watching her grow, in seeing her smile. He was no longer just a lonely widower struggling to survive. He was a father, a teacher, a friend. He was giving Lily a new life, and in doing so, he was giving himself one too. The cabin was filled with Lily's drawings. Sketches of wildflowers, portraits of Bess and May, and landscapes of the surrounding hills adorned the walls. Her talent was undeniable, a gift that she nurtured with passion and dedication. She drew everything she saw, capturing the beauty of the world through her unique perspective. Reading opened up a whole new world for Lily. She devoured books, her imagination soaring with each page. She learned about faraway lands, brave heroes, and inspiring stories. She wrote her own stories too, filling notebooks with tales of adventure and hope. She began to help Silas with the ranch work, contributing in ways that surprised them both. She kept meticulous records of the livestock, tracked the weather patterns, and even devised a system for irrigating the crops more efficiently. Her sharp mind and keen observations proved invaluable. Lily was no longer the shy, withdrawn girl who had arrived at the ranch. She was confident, articulate, and full of life. She laughed easily, smiled often, and exuded a quiet strength that inspired everyone around her. She had blossomed into a remarkable young woman, her disability no longer defining her, but rather adding to her unique character. Silas watched her with pride and admiration. He had given her a chance, and she had seized it with both hands. She had proven that everyone deserves a chance to shine, that everyone has something special to offer the world. He knew that their journey was far from over, but he was confident that together, they could face whatever challenges lay ahead. Then the drought came. It was the worst anyone could remember. The sky was a relentless blue, offering no promise of rain. The earth turned to dust, and the rivers dried up. Crops withered and died, and livestock perished. Ranchers who had struggled for years watched their livelihoods crumble before their eyes. Families packed up their belongings and left, seeking a better life elsewhere. The West, once a land of opportunity, became a land of despair. Silas was worried. He had spent nearly all his savings on Lily, and now, with the drought threatening to destroy everything he had worked for, he didn't know what they would do. He rationed their food and water, praying for a miracle. He saw the fear in Lily's eyes, but he also saw her determination. She refused to give up. She spent hours studying the land, searching for any sign of moisture. She pored over her books, researching different farming techniques and water conservation methods. The townsfolk who had once judged them now looked at them with envy. Silas and Lily's ranch, though struggling, was faring better than most. They still had water, their crops were still producing, and their livestock were still alive. People wondered how they were doing it. The answer, it turned out, was a combination of hard work, ingenuity, and a little bit of Lily's magic. Lily's drawings weren't just pretty pictures. They were blueprints for survival. Inspired by her reading and her observations of the land, she had devised a series of innovative water conservation techniques. She drew diagrams of underground irrigation systems, showing how to channel water directly to the roots of the plants, minimizing evaporation. She designed rainwater collection devices, using simple materials to capture every precious drop. Silas, though initially skeptical, trusted Lily's instincts. He worked tirelessly alongside her, digging trenches, building dams, and implementing her designs. It was hard work, but they were driven by a shared determination to save their ranch. They built terraces on the hillside to prevent soil erosion and planted drought-resistant crops that required less water. They used mulch to retain moisture in the soil and recycled every drop of water they could. Lily's ideas were ingenious, but it was their teamwork that made them work. Silas's practical knowledge and Lily's innovative thinking combined to create a sustainable system that defied the drought. Their ranch became an oasis in a parched land, a testament to the power of resilience and the importance of embracing new ideas. As other ranchers watched in amazement, they began to wonder if Silas and Lily had found the secret to surviving the drought. And they were right. The secret was in their partnership, their unwavering hope, and Lily's remarkable drawings. One by one, the ranchers began to arrive at Silas's ranch, their faces etched with desperation. They swallowed their pride and asked for help. They had scoffed at Silas's decision to take in Lily. They had questioned her abilities. But now, they were begging for her advice. Silas and Lily welcomed them with open arms. They shared their knowledge freely, showing them how to implement Lily's water conservation techniques. They helped them build terraces, install irrigation systems, and plant drought-resistant crops. Some ranchers were hesitant at first, clinging to old ways and skeptical of Lily's fancy drawings. But as they saw the results, their crops starting to grow, their livestock regaining their health, they began to believe. The community started to change. The prejudices that had once divided them began to fade away, replaced by a shared sense of purpose and a newfound respect for Lily's abilities. They realized that she wasn't a burden. She was a blessing. Silas and Lily didn't just teach them how to survive the drought. They taught them how to be a community. They showed them the importance of collaboration, of innovation, and of embracing differences. They proved that even in the harshest of circumstances, hope could bloom. And it all started with a widower's act of kindness and a little girl's remarkable drawings. Lily became a local hero. People traveled from miles around to seek her advice. She patiently explained her techniques, sharing her knowledge with anyone who was willing to listen. She inspired others to adapt, to innovate, and to never give up hope, even in the face of seemingly insurmountable odds. She started a small schoolhouse, teaching children how to read, write, and draw. She encouraged them to use their imaginations, to think creatively, and to find solutions to the challenges they faced. She instilled in them a love of learning and a belief in their own abilities. She also became an advocate for the disabled, showing the world that they were capable of achieving great things. She challenged stereotypes and broke down barriers, proving that everyone deserves a chance to shine. Lily's story spread far and wide, inspiring people across the West and beyond. She received letters from people thanking her for her inspiration, for her courage, and for her unwavering belief in the power of hope. She never forgot where she came from, and she always remained humble. She knew that her success was due to the kindness of Silas, who had given her a chance when no one else would. She dedicated her life to helping others, to making the world a better place. One drawing, one lesson, one act of kindness at a time. She was a true testament to the power of the human spirit, a beacon of hope in a world that often felt dark and hopeless. Silas and Lily decided to formalize their efforts, establishing a community program to teach sustainable farming practices. They built a learning center on their ranch, offering workshops and demonstrations on water conservation, soil management, and drought-resistant farming techniques. They shared their knowledge freely, empowering others to create a more sustainable future. But their vision extended beyond farming. They also wanted to help other orphans, to give them the same chance that Silas had given Lily. They started a program to provide shelter, food, and education to orphan children, giving them a safe and loving environment to grow and thrive. They partnered with local businesses and community members to raise funds and gather resources. They organized events, such as harvest festivals and art auctions, to showcase Lily's drawings and raise awareness for their cause. The community rallied around them, donating time, money, and resources. They built new homes for the orphans, established a community garden, and created a schoolhouse where children could learn and grow. Silas and Lily's program became a model for other communities across the West. It showed that even in the face of adversity, it was possible to create a better future, one based on compassion, collaboration, and a commitment to helping others. They had transformed their ranch into a beacon of hope, a place where everyone was welcome, everyone was valued, and everyone had a chance to shine. The town of Harmony Falls, once a struggling settlement on the verge of collapse, transformed into a thriving agricultural hub. Fields of drought-resistant crops stretched as far as the eye could see, a testament to the community's resilience and innovation. The farmers, once set in their old ways, now embraced new technologies and sustainable practices. They shared their knowledge with each other, constantly learning and improving. They had become stewards of the land, protecting its resources and ensuring its long-term health. The town became known for its innovative irrigation systems, its thriving orchards, and its delicious, drought-resistant crops. People from all over the West came to Harmony Falls to learn about their farming techniques and to purchase their unique produce. The town also became a haven for orphans and disabled individuals. The community embraced diversity and celebrated the unique talents of each individual. They created a society where everyone was valued and everyone had a chance to contribute. Harmony Falls became a shining example of what could be achieved when people worked together, when they embraced innovation, and when they committed to building a more sustainable and equitable future. It was a testament to the power of kindness, the importance of education, and the transformative impact of a little girl's remarkable drawings. The West had been changed, one town, one ranch, one act of kindness at a time. Years passed, and Lily, now a young woman, stood at the helm of the community she had helped to build. Her drawings were renowned throughout the West, not just for their beauty, but for their ingenuity and their ability to solve problems. She traveled the region, sharing her knowledge and inspiring others to create sustainable communities. She never forgot Silas's kindness and acceptance, and she made it her mission to honor his legacy. She continued to advocate for orphans and the disabled, ensuring that everyone had the opportunity to reach their full potential. She established a scholarship fund for disadvantaged students, providing them with the resources they needed to pursue their dreams. She built a new orphanage, one that was filled with love, laughter, and opportunities for growth. She often visited Silas, who had grown old but remained sharp and wise. They would sit on the porch of the ranch, watching the sunset and reminiscing about the past. She would tell him about her travels, her accomplishments, and her dreams for the future. Silas would smile, his eyes filled with pride. He knew that he had made the right decision all those years ago when he had impulsively bought Lily from the orphanage. He had given her a chance, and she had not only thrived, but she had also transformed the entire West. She had shown the world that kindness, acceptance, and a little bit of ingenuity could change everything. Silas sat on the porch, watching Lily ride off in her wagon, heading to another town to share her knowledge. The sun was setting, painting the sky in hues of orange and purple, a familiar scene that never failed to fill him with peace. He reflected on his life, on the emptiness he had felt after Martha's passing, on the struggles he had faced trying to keep his ranch afloat. He remembered the day he had impulsively decided to take Lily from the orphanage, a decision that had changed everything. He had given her a chance, but she had given him so much more in return. She had filled his life with purpose, with joy, with love. She had shown him the importance of kindness, the power of resilience, and the beauty of embracing differences. He was proud of her accomplishments, of the impact she had made on the West. He had watched her transform a struggling community into a thriving agricultural hub, inspire countless individuals to overcome adversity, and advocate for those who were often forgotten. He knew that his time was drawing near, but he was content. He had lived a good life, a life filled with purpose and meaning. He had made a difference thanks to Lily. He had shown the world that even a simple widower could change the West for the better, simply by opening his heart to a little girl who needed a chance. And that, he thought, was a legacy worth leaving behind. He closed his eyes, a smile on his face, grateful for the journey, grateful for the love, and grateful for Lily. And so, the story of Silas and Lily became a legend in the West, a testament to the transformative power of compassion. It was a story of second chances, of embracing differences, and of believing in the potential of every human being. It reminded everyone that even in the darkest of times, hope could bloom, and that even the smallest act of kindness could ripple outwards, changing the world in ways unimaginable. It showed that disabilities were not limitations, but rather unique perspectives that could lead to innovation and creativity. It demonstrated that communities could thrive when they embraced diversity and celebrated the talents of all their members. It proved that even a lonely widower and a disabled orphan girl could change the entire West for the better, simply by opening their hearts to each other and working together to build a more sustainable and equitable future. The story of Silas and Lily continues to inspire people today, reminding them that everyone has the power to make a difference, that everyone deserves a chance to shine, and that the world can be a better place if we simply choose to be kind, to be compassionate, and to embrace the differences that make us all unique. It is a story of hope, of resilience, and of the enduring power of the human spirit. It's a story about how doing what's right, even when it's hard, can truly change the world.